Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law, and normally through this channel I provide some stock analysis and also a short trading lesson at the end. However, today is a special edition video, so let me just tell you what this video is about. Today's video is a special edition video, and it's really with regard to a stock that I introduced initially on the channel by ticker symbol NLST, Netlist. This is a very interesting stock, not featured previously by many YouTubers and massively under the radar and not well known. However, this could be a huge stock going forward with potential catalysts which worth billions for the company. So please refer back to the previous video for details of that. The purpose of today's video is to have a question and answer session with Gabriel. This was initially shared with the Discord members first, so they have seen the uncut version in full in advance. So if anybody's interested in receiving advance notification of research and due diligence that I carry out with new stocks, please click in the description below for details of the Patreon. So without further ado, let me quickly summarize what the video is going to be about today. So first of all, we're going to talk about the stock, Netlist. Gabriel is very bullish about this. He certainly knows much more about the stock than I do. He has been invested since around about the $2 mark. I think it's about three months. He will share that information with you himself. So we're going to talk about market cap. We're going to talk about potential price target for this going forward. We're going to talk about the case with regards to Google. We're also going to be look at the potential impact of a short squeeze, which is minimal. And so without further ado, please watch to the end if you are interested in this stock. There's going to be lots of important information. It might be a little bit lengthy, but I'm sure you'll find it interesting.
Okay. Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. I'm pleased to be here with Gabriel, who's joined me. He's a long-time investor in Netlist. So Gabriel has made a request. He reached out to me in terms of the comments, and then he also contacted me through email. So we had a discussion, and I'm pleased to say Gabriel would like to share some important information for potential investors, for existing investors in Netlist, to clarify some of the situations. Some of the information I shared in my previous video may not have been fully up to date. So we're going to clarify that and look at some of the things, and hopefully we can give a bullish response to any potential investors and questions. So first of all, Gabriel, could you initially introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to find out and invest in Netlist?
Yeah, of course, sure. And before I go into that, I'd like to clarify something, Ali. I have not been a quote unquote long-time investor. I have been an investor for about 3 months now.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make that clear.
No, that's good.
There are people who have been in this for years who got in on pennies.
Right.
Okay, and
well,
I am not one of those.
Even 3 months is a good return according to how the share price is moving.
So yeah. My average, well, not my average, but my beginning shares that I got were at $2.12. So a little bit about me. I've been serious in investing in the stock market for a little over a decade, but I've been trading professionally for about 5 years now. And the way I define professionally is because I created my own LLC Corp, and I trade under that, and I've been in the positive every year. So if you make money doing something, that's professionally. So I've been trading professionally for a little bit over or about 5 years now.
Okay.
So how did I come to find Netlist? Well, the story is actually pretty simple. One of my mentors is a gentleman who owns a multi-$100 million fund. He owns his own fund. He is in charge of lots of people's money, and his fund cannot invest in Netlist because there are certain FINRA regulated rules that we'll talk about, I'm sure. But long story short, he cannot invest in it. But one of his clients actually brought it to his attention. And although he couldn't invest in it, he himself bought a nice amount for personally. And, we were talking like we do all the time. And he brought it up to my attention. He said, Gabe, look into this. So I did. And, at first I made a small position, and then I started doing more and more research, and my position got larger and larger and larger. And this is at the beginning. This is before all the hype. So pretty much at one point, and remember, this is an OTC stock, right? So
yes.
There's no options in it. You have to buy the shares. My strategy is mainly selling puts, and that's my strategy. That's what I do for large caps and so on and so forth. But I found myself at one point putting in about 33% of my capital into Netlist, and that's a large amount of my working capital that I need to trade. But I was so bullish on this move that I just couldn't let it go. And then, as we all know, from one day to the next, after the discovery, after this discovery hearing by Magistrate Spiro happened, we just started going berserk. So that's a little bit about me, and that's how I got into Netlist.
Excellent. So that's great. So first of all, I think what the viewers would like to know is, could you give us maybe within 3 to 5 minutes maximum, a little bit about information about the litigation case with Google that's going on right now?
Yeah. So as I'm sure everybody, most people bought into this know that there's litigation case versus a few different companies, Samsung, Anphi, Micron, Google, etc. But the Google one is the one that has the most promise, because obviously they are a extremely large company. Just to give some knowledge on it, a lot of people don't know this. Back in 2009, Google was a $200 billion company.
Yes.
Fast forward to present day, they're a $2 trillion company. So that is huge. Back in 2009, Netlist has, from 2009 to present, Netlist hasn't grown. They have actually gotten smaller, and it was all due because of this 12-year litigation that they've been in with Google. So to give a really quick background on what happened, in 2009, Netlist made Google sign a non-disclosure agreement because they wanted to sell them licensing agreements for their technology, which to date is still the best technology in the series. So Google looked at their technology, and then they said, no, Netlist, we don't want to work with you. But then, and I can say this because it has already been proven, Google turned around, worked through China to bootleg the technology, the hardware, the chips, and then put it into their servers. So
yes.
So Netlist promptly took them to court. And as we can all surmise, the big guy tried to swallow the little guy by saying, okay, we're just going to make them go broke and just keep on extending this. Anyway, long story short, and last year in 2020, after a few different appeals by Google, it was the validity of the patents. Okay, the validity of the patents were upheld, which is huge. Right, which means do
you know what the name of the court and which jurisdiction it was? Was it California? Was it New York?
That information is there, but I did not write it down. I don't have that kind of detail. If we were, and we can search that.
We can find that.
Yeah, it's all there. So the name of the court was the PTAB. The patent something. I'm sorry.
That's no problem. We can verify that. Yes.
Yeah. So the validity of these patents, they were good. They were verified. So now, right, and this is very telling what I'm about to tell you, Ali. Now, Google has the chance to take it to the Supreme Court, right? But they declined that. They declined that. They didn't want to go forward with that. So where we are right now is in basically the final stages before damages are done. So the next part was finding out discovery. And to speak in layman's terms, that just means the judge says, okay, we know that it's valid. Now we have to see how far in your books, Google, we're going to allow Netlist to go. And Judge Spiro said that in my opinion, what was the best possible thing. He said, we're going to go all the way back on some patents, all the way to the date of the non-disclosure agreements. That's 2009. So to put that into context, if found guilty, well, they're kind of already found guilty, but
yes,
the damages that Netlist will be able to get will be from 2009.
11
so from
years.
2009 to present, the table at which the metrics at which damages can be issued will be from all the way back to 2009.
Okay.
So that is very huge.
Okay.
So
yes,
where we're at right now,
yes,
where we're at right now is Google's final chance, and I'm gonna put this in layman's terms because a lot of people aren't gonna understand it. So they're going after what's called intervening rights, and there's two types of them. There's equitable intervening rights, and there's absolute intervening rights. So now, again, to explain this plainly, there's 78 patent articles. Okay, they're not going to be able to ask for intervening rights on all of them. I think it was around 20 something that they have a chance to maybe get some intervening rights. Yes. Equitable intervening rights simply means Google has some rights to the patent, and so therefore the damage that they'll have to pay on that particular patent is less.
Limited, yes.
Absolute intervening rights is, without going into detail, basically Google is trying to say, we have absolute intervening rights on these patents, and therefore don't owe you squat.
Okay.
So that's where we're at right now.
Any idea? Yeah. I'm guessing the outcome or the agreement could be any date now. We could be 1 month, 1 week, 3 months, 6 months. We don't know.
So technically, Ali, technically, a settlement can drop any day. It can drop tonight. It can drop tomorrow, or Google can go through the process, right? Just buy time, and then at the mid to 2022 decide to settle before the trial is over. Like it can happen anytime. Yeah. So when people say it's going to happen by the date that you gave in your video, that is just simply incorrect. That's just a date on the docket discussing intervening rights.
Okay, so what I'd like to now move on to is in our conversation yesterday, you told me you spoke to a specialist patent lawyer. Could you just quickly summarize what the outcome of this meeting with this specialist patent lawyer, and what kind of information did he disclose to you regarding?
Yeah. So it was only a 1 hour conversation, and I had to pay for it, but luckily it's deductible on my taxes, so that's fine. But I did not understand intervening rights. Okay, he was able to explain to me what's going on. He was also able to explain to me, because online you'll read that Google or Netlist in 2020, they won, that Google is guilty, and that is not necessarily true. What happened was they won they won all the cases, providing now that they have validity in their patents. Now it can go to trial. They haven't won yet. The trial hasn't happened yet. They just won the ability to take it to trial by getting validity, and some other details, and not lots of things. And so I was able to better educate myself on the situation.
Okay, and that's good. So let's move on to the next question. So the next question is basically looking at your opinion, your prediction. So let's have a look at the market cap for Netlist, a potential agreement in terms of financial, settlement agreement from the courts, and what's your opinion in terms of how that will impact Netflix in terms of market cap, return? Yes.
You said Netflix.
Netlist, sorry, Netlist.
Netlist. Okay. Okay. So you're asking me for what I think, or for my prediction. I'm surmising. Right?
Yeah, your prediction for a court case settlement and the impact
Great
for, let's say,
question.
every $1 billion received
Yes.
in terms of the market cap and the share price?
Absolute great question. Okay, so no one knows for sure, right? I can't sit here and tell you it's going to be X amount of dollars. I can't do that. But what I have done is I've studied, myself, I have studied patent infringement damage metrics, okay? And from what we know, being that the discovery is all the way to 2009, and what I know to be the metrics, and also something I want to share that is very, very, very important, that drives this, is that this patent, 912 patent, has been labeled a seminal patent. And I wrote this down because I wanted to get the wording correct. A seminal patent is defined as an invention so impactful it creates a shift in the technology space. All right. Okay. This has been officially labeled a seminal patent because it is so impactful. It creates a shift in the technology space.
Yeah.
Another thing, before I tell you my speculation that I want to make sure and point out, is that this has been going on for 12 years. Okay, 12 years, and it is a seminal patent. And lastly, if Google during trial, which is all the writing is already there that it was, but if Google is found to be of willful infringement, meaning they did it on purpose, they knowingly did it, okay, then if it goes to trial, they can get what's called treble damages. And that is a fancy way of saying whatever the court decides is the damages is tripled if they go to court. Now, do I think Google is going to go to court? I mean, honestly, no. I'm above 80 to, I'm 80 or 80% or higher that they're not going to take this to court because they know that they're wrong by now. They don't want the world to see their books because the books will be open. And they don't want it to happen. So they're just throwing everything that they can at this case to try to make the settlement as low as possible. And that's why they're trying to do intervening rights so much. Okay. So now for my prediction. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So and I've said this in Reddit and in stock twits. My prediction is no less than $5 billion. Okay. Now, I say that because of everything I know and what the metrics are. I also want to point out, which is another question or another one, I always say that for the end. The highest settlement ever received is $4.5 billion by QCOM from Apple. Okay. That is the highest patent infringement settlement ever received, $4.5 billion. Yeah. That litigation went on for 2 years. And the discovery was only for about 3 years on that. Okay. The discovery for this is going to be for 12 years, Ali. 12 years. And Google has nothing but grown.
Very good point. Yes.
Okay. So with that said, and with the market, with the latest market cap, with the latest share float being 221 million shares, $1 billion on a linear scale, okay, just linear. $1 billion justifies $4.51 in share value per share. Just linear, just on cash on assets. $1 billion as my assets. Well, then my company, because of these shares, is worth X amount of dollars. Each billion is 4.5. And that's linear. So with that said, my very conservative share price after a settlement is received, if I am right, is no less than 23 bucks. No less. Okay. No less than 23 bucks. That's very, very conservative. My bullish view is upwards of $35.
Okay.
A share. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, if I'm right, not only will this be the highest settlement ever received, but Netlist is going to get lots and lots of money on the books, instantly increasing their share price. I'd like to caveat though that it can go a couple different ways. They can get $5 billion, but paid over 5 years, so on and so forth. You know, I don't know what's going to happen.
And there is also a possibility, we talked yesterday about an agreement with regard to royalties as well.
Okay, so royalties is in the damages, but if you're asking me about licensing agreements in perpetuity for the future, yes, that is coming, because Google is not going to stop using their technology, right? So since they're going to keep it in, they have to pay them for licensing agreements for the future.
That does make sense. Okay.
Yeah, so they're going to get licensing agreements for the future, and they're going to get paid royalties and damages.
I think investors will be very, very pleased with that bullish prediction there. And it does make sense what you're saying in terms of $1 billion is approximately going to give a return of $4 per share in terms of $4.51. Yeah. Okay, let's move on now. So the next thing I'd like to speak to you is about, what could you tell us about the short interest in this stock right now?
Oh, great question. Okay, so again, we just went over that the share float is $221 million.
Yes.
As per last reporting, because it's not updated daily, there was 2.9 million shares. That's it. Just 2.9 million shares short. That is less than 2%. I believe it's like 1.4% or 1.5%.
Oh, right. Excellent.
It's a very minuscule amount. Okay. So for people thinking that a short squeeze is going to happen, I'm going to disagree with you, because that's a very minuscule amount. The time to cover, if they haven't covered already, is very short. So until we find out until we find out that there's a lot more shares short, then a short squeeze is not what's driving this. Furthermore, and I'm going to go really quick into this. I don't know if you're going to ask me this question or not, but
go ahead. Yes.
Netlist is an OTC stock. And
that was my next question, but you can answer it. Yes.
Okay. So let me explain to you, Ali, why that is a very, very important detail.
Yes.
Netlist is an OTC stock.
Yes.
Okay. For the most part, OTC stocks cannot be shorted by retail. Big funds can, but under different stipulations. But that is not the case here. Now, Netlist is, if by the Fed gave them an ability to be margined, but it's at 100% rate. So in order for someone to short, they have to have 100% of the money available. It can't short like other companies where you can do naked shorting and where your margin is a lot more. They need a lot of money in order to short this. And another detail on this is that, at least for TD Ameritrade, the shares are what's called hard to borrow. And in order to get shares to short, you have to be part of a hard to borrow program. And these particular shares are very expensive. And then the daily interest is expensive. So long story short, Ali, because Netlist is an OTC stock, these shares are extremely difficult and expensive to short. There's more to say.
Well, I think all the investors and potential investors will be very, very pleased to hear that. And I think we've covered everything. I've got one more question before I let you add any additional information. And the final question from my side is, what can you tell me about any insider selling?
Oh, okay. That is a great question. And if you go into stock Twits or even Reddit, and I myself, before I got educated on this, was the only thing that made me slightly bearish. In all the selling, all of it that is being done by insiders is pre-scheduled. Okay, so it's not like they're unloading because they think they're going to lose the trial or whatnot. They're pre-scheduled on a insider selling plan. And an important metric that you need to understand on how they sell shares is in like very, very much in advance. And I believe the last one was over a year ago where they met and set their metrics. There's two ways that you can sell, that insiders can sell shares. They can either do it by a date, meaning I want to sell X amount of shares on this date, right? And then whatever it goes for, Or the trigger can be at a price. So the insider say, okay, I'm going to sell X amount of shares at this price and X amount of shares at this price and X amount of shares at this price. Well, as you know, Ali, the run up has been freaking like
Phenomenal.
parabolic,
Phenomenal.
right?
Phenomenal.
So from $2 to $7.55, it went almost straight up.
Yes.
So Gail, which is the one that's been selling lately, Gail Sasaki, she's the CFO. Apparently, she had a price target trigger, right?
Okay.
And so what she has done is but it's not of the shares that she owns, because there's two types of things that they have. They have shares, which she sold some but not a lot, and then they have options that they're awarded. They're calls, right? So she has to she exercised said options and then sold them on the market. But on a side note, there is a silver lining to that for us, at least the way I see it. Those options, once exercised, are become part of the float, so they slightly dilute us. But the good news is that Netlist is getting cash. They are getting more and more cash. So the cash position of Netlist, for a couple of reasons, which I don't want to make this video too long, has grown exponentially since before the recent things, as far as the SK Hynix deal, and you got Lincoln Park Capital buying shares. I mean, there's so many things.
That's
so
right.
So that's the
okay.
So,
So that's excellent information. I think one thing I don't think we've touched on too much, and it's not on my list of questions, but I think one of the things I don't think we mentioned too much is there is also litigation going on with other high-profile companies. One of them is Samsung. So that is a potential catalyst in the future. And Samsung, again, a huge company, probably not in terms of the same value of Google, but still a huge, potential catalyst for the stock. And one other thing before I give the floor back to you is just to say what me and Gabriel are saying is, obviously we're not financial advisors, it's not financial advice. Everybody should make their own research, carry out their own due diligence before investing in this stock. But what I am happy to say is that we are both very bullish. I'm very bullish on this stock. Gabriel has convinced me. I will certainly be, looking to make a move in this. So finally, thank you very much for joining me, Gabriel. What else would you like to share with everybody before we finish the interview and wrap everything up?
Okay, I have a couple things, and I'll try to make it as succinct as possible, because I know video doesn't want to be too long. Okay, so first, on your last video, you said I'm going to be waiting for a pullback or something like that.
I did.
Okay?
I did.
You like normally
that's because the RSI was 90, so it's
the RSI is 92, the relative strength index. I completely get it. Okay, but this is a different animal. All right, can it pull back because people are emotional? Absolutely, it can pull back before a settlement is reached. I'm not saying that that's impossible, but in my opinion, waiting for a pullback is not necessarily the best way. If you are bullish and you believe in everything I've said or in all the research that you've done, and you say, okay, a settlement is going to equal this, so there's no way that I'm going to lose money here, then you need to buy in. But if we're wrong, well then if we're wrong, this is going to go down to $2 or less, $3. I don't know how low it's going to go, but it's definitely going to crash if we're wrong, if they lose or whatever.
That's the risk of trading on the stock market, of course.
That's the risk, absolutely. Okay, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I am extremely overweight on this. Okay, so that was that. Second, what a lot of people don't know, and we haven't talked about, and I didn't even tell you about this yesterday. Netlist is a very small company. Normally Google would have bankrupted them by now. There are allies that Netlist has that are law professionals that have seen what's going on and that say, hey, you have a very good chance of winning this, so we are going to bankroll you. All you have to do is look at the reports, the annual reports, and you'll see it. It's in there. I can't remember the name of the company, but there is a company that years ago said, we believe in you. We're going to fund or help fund the litigation. And then they're going to get a piece if and when we win of the settlement or whatever. Another thing that I want to tell you about is that what I am very impressed is the new lawyer that we have His name is Jason Shasby. He went to Harvard Law, and he is a freaking wizard in patent infringement settlements.
Wow.
So if you read between the lines, you know that that is the route that we're going with this.
Okay.
Next, if you look at Google's attorneys, you'll see that they let go some attorneys and brought in a new batch of attorneys, and do some research, find out what those attorneys are good at, and you'll see again another thing to read between the lines.
Okay. Yeah.
Lastly, I do want to say one thing. I want to, because with this whole video we were very, very bullish, and I do want to temper everyone's reality or expectations, okay? Because anything can happen. There was a case, in a patent infringement case. It was Merck versus something with a G. Gilead. That's what it was. Gilead. Okay.
Yes.
They won validity, just like Netlist did. They took it to court. They won. Okay. They were going for treble damages. Gilead appealed the win that they had in trial. Right. They took it to trial. Merck won. Gilead appealed it. Merck went from winning and thinking they're going to get triple damages. I think it was like $2.4 billion in what they were going to get from the court. So you triple that, right? That's like 7 billion or whatever it is, 7.5. And so they went from that to Ali to losing in the appeal. They lost. They got zero. They got nothing. Okay.
That's the risk.
So, you know, anything is possible. And Google is one of the largest companies in the world. So I don't want everyone to think that this is 100%. And I want to temper.
Definitely.
I want to temper everyone's
to look at both
expectations.
sides. Yeah, I fully agree with what you're saying. Yes.
Anything can happen.
Definitely.
Now, I stand firm in my prediction and what I think is going to happen, but no one knows what's going to happen.
Okay, that's great. I think I'll be happy to end the interview here, Gabriel, and I'm going to hopefully be able to edit the video and release the video within the next 20 before market open on Monday. And it's been very nice speaking to you. Thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully we can stay in touch. And any developments with regard to Netlist, please keep me updated, and I will be more than happy to update everybody with regard to what's going on.
Will do, Ali. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Take care. Very nice speaking to you. Bye-bye.
Likewise. Take care.